Hi, my name is Jonathan Alvarez, and today I will be doing a podcast for Mr. McCurry's class in 2018. Mr. McCurry, I hope you're having a great day. So, today, this podcast will be exploring racism and toxic masculinity in the movie Blindspotting. Now, let me give you a little short summary of the movie Blindspotting. So, the movie Blindspotting is taking place in Oakland, California, and there are two best friends by the name of Collins and Miles. Collins is on his last 3 days of probation and is trying to stay out of trouble and become a new person. But his childhood friend by the name of Miles is really making it difficult for him because he's making big mistakes that can put his freedom at risk. So after Collins dropping off Miles at home, Collins is trying to make it back to his halfway house so he can be on time for his curfew, but he gets stuck at a red light. And while he's stuck on the red light, he witnesses a man by the name of Randall Marshalls get shot in the back 4 times by a white officer named Officer Molina. After this event that Collins witnessed, Collins is becoming more paranoid around police. Now, right now, I'm going to explain to you a scene that shows racism. In this scene, you're able to see how racism comes into play. So, Collins and Miles are at work and they're trying to get out of a parking spot while a man is blocking them unloading groceries. So, Miles decides to try to get the man's attention in a normal way, but the man doesn't listen. So, Miles gets upset. So what he does is keeps honking the horn, yelling out his name, starting cursing and saying like, "Can you hear us?" Yada yada yada. Like the man thinks he's better than them, so he doesn't like pay no attention towards them. So then, after the whole scene ended, the movie goes along, and then Collins goes to get his time cards and stamp them out. So this is what happens. Val is Collins' ex-girlfriend, by the way. So Val explains how they got a complaint call about a black man with dreads honking a horn at a white man and just being very noisy, even though it was Miles that did it. So this very shows racism because they blamed the black person or the black man for being loud. So then they didn't even bother to even think that it was the white man because I guess that Collins looks more blamable because like what they said, the black man with dreads, and I guess that shows it's like somebody sees a this out. But anyway, so yeah, and this shows racism because they just straight up blamed the black guy. Anyway, so let me explain to you a second scene. So this second scene, Collins and Miles are trying to run away from a party that they attended at some fancy part, or at least soon to be fancy part in Oakland. So they attend a party and a another black guy, I forgot the name, I'm sorry, but he tells what was it? He tells not Colin, sorry. He tells Miles to stop trying to act ghetto. You don't need to be to fit in here. And obviously, this is weird because it's like reverse racism in a way. So what happens is Miles takes it the other way, and which causes him to push him, and they get in a fight. So then after that, they get in a fight. Miles knocks out the other black guy, and after that happened, the man who was hosting the party told Miles to get out, and he got all mad, and Miles overreacted, pulling out a gun and started shooting it in the air, which caused Collins to react to like just basically get him out of there as quick as possible. So what they did was they left, and then Collins took the weapon, and they end up in a container in containers. So while they're in the containers, this is what happens. Collins at first he straight up says if the cops found out that they both that Miles had a gun, they would have straight up shot Collins because he's the black man. And when he states that, Miles just straight up goes into defense mode, and then going off how he's always protected him. But then it's true right there. That would have been direct racism because Collins was right. If the police would have showed up, they would have straight up blamed Collins because he's a typical black man with dreads, and he has the weapon on him, even though he stopped it. So then, this will show like really good racism because obviously they're gonna judge the black man instead of the white man, even though the like Miles throughout the whole movie he wears a grill, and he's really acting more ghetto than Collins. So then after that it gets very crazy. Collins walks away with the weapon and he gets stopped by a cop. But so at the stop, the cop flashes the light at him, and Collins begins to basically almost have a mental breakdown because he knows what's about to happen to him. But it turns out the cop really wasn't going to even stop him. He just stopped and pointed the flashlight at him to check. So then after that, that shows how Collins almost just thought that the cop was gonna stop him because he's a black man walking at night looking suspicious. But that's just the scene. I'm not saying that's showing racism, but anyway. Yes, so now I'm gonna be showing a scene of toxic masculinity. Alright, now in the scene for toxic masculinity, I will be talking about the container scene again, but this time it's gonna be Miles. So, in this scene, we're able to see how they argue and they're spilling out some emotions, and so this is what happened with Miles. Miles describes how he's trying to fit into society, and the way to fit into society in Oakland is that he has to act tough, act hard, so people know not to mess with him in any way. And the reason why I'm saying this is toxic masculinity because basically is like Miles is saying that he has to live that way in order to be a like regular person in Oakland. So, and this really honestly is different because I've never heard nothing like this, but as soon as I like saw it in the film, I didn't think I knew it was toxic masculinity, but just want to let you know in on that. And another scene would be where Colin is with his son, not his son, Miles' son, and they talk about how Colin's went to jail, and he said for being a tough guy. And throughout the movie, Miles tells his son, like, I'm a tough guy. Yeah, I'm a tough guy, right? Sorry for my stuttering. He describes, I'm a tough guy, and then he makes him yell it. And then after that, what was it? His son starts to fight Collins as play fighting, but like they're trying to show him how to fight in order to fit in, most likely. Not most likely, to fit in, because I guess there's a lot of violence around Oakland. Even though he goes to a high-end school in Berkeley, it's like still possible that he can get into some fights, and that's why I think his father and Colin is trying to teach him how to fight. But I don't think I know. Sorry. And yeah, right now I will be explaining how these scenes are important. These scenes are important for three reasons. One reason, this shows how people of color in communities have to deal with racism because people misjudge them or misread them after the first time they see them. Two, this shows how people need to fit in order to be able to live in certain communities. Three, this shows how people can be afraid of the law and the law can be wrong at some points. And also, they can just be like what they did to Randall Marshall, misreading him and just understand why he was running. So those are the reasons why I said that those scenes were important. Now, in conclusion, blindspotting is about racism and toxic masculinity because people of color always have to watch out for racist people because a lot of people misread and show racism because they're not white. and other reasons. Now, this shows toxic masculinity because this shows how people have to act a certain way in order to fit in. And this, yeah, that's how it shows it. Now to answer our essential question. Why is it important to consider to think about different communities than our own? It is important to think about other communities different than our own because that community will have a big impact on the whole world by any way, good or bad. The reason why I say this is because communities can have a good impact by either finding medicines for people or just other resources, or they can have a bad impact by showing racist cops and everything else. So one day, I hope every community will come together to just be one equal community and not different from each other. And my name is Jonathan Alvarez. Thank you for watching this or hearing this broadcast.